welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to talk about canned goods. I got a comment, actually a question. It was in the comments about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago or so, and I wanted to go ahead and read the comment on a video and then address the person's concerns, because I think it's a valid concern, and it's about the length of time you can store canned goods. You know, things that you can yourself. How long can these things last? Let's go read the comment. Zach, off topic here, but I would appreciate a video on your other channel about how the temperature fluctuations in a non-AC cooled house affect food storage. I'm nervous about trying to store anything in hot, humid conditions. Jars, cans, buckets, etc. Will my jars lose their seal easier? Will my best buy dates still be accurate if things aren't stored between 60 and 85 degrees? I know you have a cold storage now, but how did your wine fermentation work properly above 85 degrees before? I know you were making and storing wine and ferments before you built the wine root cellar. Okay, so we'll get into that second part about the wine in a minute. So as far as like canned goods, fluctuations in a non-AC cooled house, how that affects food storage, really it doesn't. I don't see anywhere where it does. I mean, the hottest it's ever gotten, I think, in the house is like 95 degrees on a really, really hot day. And then it cools down pretty quickly after that. I mean, I know that seems hot for a lot of people. I'm used to it. I haven't had AC since we've moved here, and I still don't. And we're debating whether or not maybe to one day get a mini split or something like that. We have lots of fans now. We're fine. I'm used to not having AC. And our canned goods, we've never had a problem with living in a non-climate controlled, house or home. And I have a lot of canned goods. I can a lot. This is some pickles we've done recently here. We can these. These will be on my shelf until I eat them, for this winter. And then this is some beans, canning some dry canning of beans. I like doing beans. These are pinto beans, and love doing that. And then here is a can of venison. This is a can of venison. Now, this was canned back in 2018. 2018, this was canned venison. This deer was taken in the month of December. I have a few jars left of this. You're like, Zach, why are you not eating it? You got deer back in 2018. Yeah, we harvest deer every year. And I have a few cans way back in my pantry, just a couple, of deer from 2018. I kind of keep these now as just an experiment. I actually opened up one of these because I knew this was coming. I opened up one of these the other day, and one of the few remaining that I had left, and mixed it with some of my new pinto beans that I had just canned, and the kids loved it. I put in some spices in here. I mixed all the pieces of venison with the beans in a pot and put some spices, put some cheese, and I rolled them up into burritos, and the kids loved it. It was venison and bean cheese burritos, and they, like I said, they loved it. So there's nothing wrong with this. Now, there's a little bit. I mean, I noticed when I opened this up, there's no. It's sealed, so it's sealed, right? If your seal fails, you'll be able to lift up on that lid, and it'll. It's bad. You don't want to eat that, okay? But if it's just sealed, it's fine. And there's a little bit of discoloration at the top, where the meat kind of sticks up out of the liquid. I don't know if you can see that or not on camera. But a little bit of the meat sticks up, and there's maybe a little bit of discoloration, but it's not bad for you to eat. It's totally fine for you to eat. The flavor is all still there, still tastes great. The texture is still fine, in my opinion. Things can get a little bit soft over time as they sit in canned goods, but this is still fine to eat, and it tastes great, and the kids loved it. Again, I have here. There's a few things in my pantry that are pretty old, and I mean it's because we made just an abundance of them. We always do a lot of deer. A number of years back, we harvested a ton of peaches, and so I've got a lot of peaches. I mean, it was just a ton of peaches, and then like jalapenos. One year we had like a bumper crop of jalapenos. I have basically jarred jalapenos forever. Okay, I'm never going to run out of jarred jalapenos or canned jalapenos. But these peaches, these were canned back in 2017, and they're still good. I mean, I have a few of these left, and if you open them up, and they're good. I mean, it's got a little bit of discoloration at the top where peaches might hit the top of the juice line there, but this is light syrup. Okay, so we didn't use a heavy sugar syrup. We didn't add sugar. So, or a lot of sugar. So it's a very light syrup, and these are just fine. I opened up one of these not that long ago, and ate them, and they're perfectly fine. Very soft, but totally still fine to eat, still flavorful. They still taste like peaches in light syrup. Okay, and so since 2017, these have been sitting in my pantry. So I have lots of examples. Actually, not lots of examples of stuff I've kept for a long time, because we usually eat, on a pretty regular basis that which we can. But there are some things we have in our pantry that are old, and so they're just absolutely fine. So if you buy canned goods at the store, what they do, they can them basically the same way. They pressure can these things in the cans, and they're sealed, and that's it. It'll be good. Now, over time, texture, I'm sorry, not flavor, maybe flavor, depending on what it is, but mostly texture can change, coloration can change over time, but chances are, unless you see a deformity in the can itself or if there's a lid fail, chances are it's going to be fine to eat. If you see a deformity in the can or a jar failure or a lid failure, don't eat it. Do not eat it. If you see a failure in the canning process, like a dented can or a bulging can or a failed lid or a bulging lid, do not eat that. That's signs of something has gone wrong, and you want to throw that food away. But everything else, as long as the seal is still good, no dents, no bulges, everything looks fine. And when you pop that top, it pops, you're good to go. You can eat that food. You don't have to worry about it. So will my best by date still be accurate if things aren't stored between 65 and 85 degrees? Best by, it's subjective. It's subjective. As far as grains and things like that, I store grains. I store rice. I have opened up buckets of rice that are 10 years old, and they're completely fine. I have wheat that's 10 years old. It's completely fine. There's different ways to bucket rice. They have found grains of wheat that were kept in Egyptian tombs, and they have sprouted that. You probably heard that story. A lot of people talk about that, where they find these grains, these wheat grains in Egyptian tombs, because they were these grain sacrifices given to their gods or whatever, and they buried them with these grains. And the grains, thousands of years later, they still sprout. So the grains are perfectly fine. It's just about how you store them. And if you can store them without oxygen and without, the environmental concerns that you have, they keep them dry and cool, they'll be absolutely fine. You can probably hear my water pump in the background. Can you hear that? I don't know if you can or not. Anyway, all that to say, grains are fine. We store our buckets with diatomaceous earth, usually mixed into the grains, in case there is some nasty that has planted an egg or laid eggs inside that grain. If it ever hatches, it will die. The diatomaceous earth will kill it, and it's completely harmless to you and me. Also, what we've done before is I'll get a bucket of grain or rice or something I'm storing, and I will put a chunk of dry ice inside that Mylar bag, and I will not seal the lid. I will give it about 12 hours or so for all that gas to disperse of that dry ice, and then I will seal that lid down and close that bucket, and it'll be completely fine, because there's no oxygen left, and for life to exist, there must be oxygen. So if something hatches, or if there's an egg that was laid by an insect or something inside that grain, and it's going to die. It's not going to be able to survive in an oxygen-less environment. And dry ice, it gives off a gas when it evaporates that is deadly. And so anything inside that bucket will die. I'm trying to think. And other people will take grains or whatever, and they'll freeze it for 2 or 3 days. I have found that is not necessarily a foolproof method. I know some people advocate for that, but freezing grains long term, in a freezer for 2 weeks, guys, there's a reason why you get below degree temperatures out there in the wilderness, and things still come alive in the spring. Okay, you get winter temperatures down below zero, and somehow magically the flies still exist come spring. Okay, freezing will not always. Sometimes it'll put insects in a hibernation mode. That is not enough. You need to use something like diatomaceous earth or dry ice, something like that, or that's going to kill those nasties off. I'm trying to think. As far as the wine fermentation, I know you have a cold storage now, but how did your wine fermentation work properly about 85 degrees before? Actually, wine fermentation works perfectly fine. And remember, these are things that people have been doing for hundreds of years, long before air conditioning ever existed. People have existed without air conditioning for thousands of years. It's only in the recent history has air conditioning come about. I mean, there's a reason why no one lived in Nevada before 1950. There's a reason why no one lived in Florida previous to 1950. It's because Florida today it's a paved over swamp, but Florida is a swamp. Nevada is a desert. There's no water in Nevada, and there's really high humid, temperatures and malaria and all these things that normally exist in Florida that don't exist there now because people have moved in. We had air conditioning to keep us cool. Daniel Boone famously went to Florida looking for land, to move his family to, and he's like, yeah, I'm not moving here. Daniel Boone was not moving to Florida. Look it up. My kids researched it one year for school, for homeschool. Daniel Boone did not want to live in Florida. He's like, I'm not living here. I'm not moving my family here. Because it was just a swamp with disease and hot humidity. It was not a comfortable place to live. 1950, air conditioners are invented. People move down to Florida. People move out to Las Vegas, Nevada. And people in Las Vegas are about to get a quick lesson on why people didn't live there before, the half part of this last century. The Hoover Dam is getting ready to shut down. And they're getting ready to learn why people don't normally live in deserts, because normally there's no water or electricity there or any way to generate electricity there. Anyway, so fermentation will work easily in 85 degrees. Actually, the higher the temperature, the more fermentation you're going to get. The quicker it will complete itself, and then you get fermentation. It's a secondary fermentation that you can get, and I usually do that for wine. But anyway, yeah, it works fine. My wine just ferments in the house, and then when it's done, I rack it, and then rack it again after a couple months, and then rack it again, and then I filter it and then bottle it. You can do all of that. People have been doing that for thousands of years, making wine, making alcohol without air conditioning, so you don't need any of that. Whenever I'm trying to figure out how to do something, the question always comes up in my mind, how did people do this before? How did people do this before? Something I'm trying to experiment with right now, and if you want to, you can help me out by leaving a comment below as I end this video. I'm trying to figure out how to grow algae on my homestead. I want to grow algae in a controlled environment in glass jars or in plastic tubes. You see people trying to grow these in plastic tubes. I guess there was a large push over the last couple of years to try to grow algae in order to make fuel. You can make biofuel with algae. I don't want to make it for that reason. I want to be able to make it for astaxanthin creation. And if you don't know what astaxanthin is, you can look it up. It's ASTAZATHIN, astaxanthin. Look it up. Anyway, it's a medicine. Okay, it comes from algae, and I want to be able to grow algae on my homestead, and I'm having a hard time trying to figure that out. So if you know how to grow algae in a controlled environment, or if you know where to get supplies to grow algae, if you know somebody who's done this before, who's successfully done it, I'm trying to figure out ways to make my own algae food. Okay, I know I can grow algae, but how do I grow my own algae food? It takes minerals like phosphorus and nitrogen. What I came up with was trying to maybe figure out how to take chicken manure, which is high in nitrogen, high in phosphorus, boil that, filter it down, and then be able to use that to feed my algae. I'm trying to find ways to do things without buying things or doing things in a conventional manner. If I didn't have all of the conveniences of the 21st century American lifestyle, how could I do things? So I'm always asking myself, how did people do things before? Growing algae is kind of a new concept today. But I always look at things from that perspective. How did people do things before? How can I do things without using all the conveniences of the modern American 21st century lifestyle? Because if those things are ever taken away, what will I do? Okay, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if you have anything to say about any of these topics. I'd love to hear from you. And then also check out our merchandise, teespring.com. Stupid should hurt. If there was a lot more hurt in this world, there'd be a lot less stupid. And a whole world of hurt is coming in the days ahead. I think that's entirely possible. Okay, guys, see you next time at the Homestead. Bye. Hey, guys, I'm happy to introduce an American Homestead sponsor, Zervita Zeal. Now, first off, I only accept sponsors from products that I use and believe in. My family uses Zeal mainly because we want to ensure a healthy immune system. You see, it's made up of only whole food concentrates and includes no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. The included sweetener is all natural from fruit and the stevia leaf. It's gluten-free, it's vegan, and it's kosher. In 2018, my youngest son was involved in a bike accident that resulted in the surgical removal of his spleen, and that's an important part of his immune system. And because we live on a farm, you can guess that having a healthy immune system for our family is very important. Some of the included ingredients are beetroot, chicory root, turmeric, moringa, blueberries, cranberry, goji berry, milk thistle, ginseng, alfalfa, broccoli, and so much more. It's these natural ingredients that can easily be made into a powerful and tasty drink that my family can make and feel good about. So sign up and give it a try today. Every purchase you make goes to help the homestead so that we can continue to make great homesteading videos for you. Link is in the description below. Go ahead, give it a try. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. I'll wait.